If you're in your 40s or 50s or early 60s, you're standing at the center of the largest workforce disruption in modern history. Not because you've done something wrong, but because the ground beneath the entire economy has shifted. And it shifted at the exact moment your career reached its peak. And that combination has created a silent, structural trap that most mid-career professionals don't even know they're in. Welcome to the channel. I'm Thomas Schmidt, and on this channel we explore how technology, AI, and the future of work are reshaping careers. And more importantly, how you can stay ahead of it. Okay, let's dive in. Wave number 1, the external trap, macro forces. For the last 20 years, the value of experience rose predictably. The longer you worked, the more you knew, the more complex problems you could solve. Experience was a competitive advantage. It was your shield and your leverage. But then AI arrived, and suddenly experience wasn't the moat it used to be. Not because your knowledge became irrelevant overnight, but because AI changed how value is created inside organizations. Today, speed beats tenure, adaptability beats mastery, and the ability to learn rapidly is more important than what you already know. AI hasn't eliminated the need for expertise, but it has compressed the time in which expertise holds its value. What used to take 10 years to learn now can be approximated in 10 seconds. And that has fundamentally changed the demand curve for mid-career talent. But there's another shift happening, one that has nothing to do with technology. Organizations are flattening, budgets are tightening, and the roles that once absorbed senior talent are disappearing. Not because companies don't want experienced people, but because they don't know where to put them in a structure built for speed, automation, and agility. And this is the part that no one says out loud. The more senior you are, the more expensive you are. And the more expensive you are, the more pressure there is to justify your cost in an economy that's optimized for efficiency. And that's the external side of the mid-career trap, the side driven by markets, technology, and organizational design. But the most dangerous part isn't external at all. It's internal. It's what happens when the world evolves faster than the belief systems that you built your success on. And that's where the real trap begins. Wave number 2, the internal trap. The psychology that holds mid-career professionals back. The external forces are powerful, but the internal forces, they're what make the mid-career trap truly dangerous. Because while the world has been evolving at exponential speed, most professionals have been operating on a script designed for a world that no longer exists. And it's not their fault. It's conditioning. It's decades of culture and reinforcement around the same idea. If I just keep doing what I'm good at, I'll be safe. And that belief worked for a long time, until it didn't. The first internal trap is identity lock-in. By mid-career, your job isn't just what you do, it's who you are. Your expertise becomes your identity. Your title becomes your measure of progress. Your experience becomes your safety net. But in an era where value shifts every few months, identity becomes a form of rigidity. The harder you've worked to become that expert, the harder it is to step into being a learner again. And that resistance isn't incompetence, it's human nature. We protect what we've learned, and we defend what we built. And we hold on to the version of ourselves that brought us success. But that version of you was optimized for a different world. The second internal trap is the success paradox. The more successful you've been in the old system, the more blind you become to the new one. Success creates patterns, and patterns create comfort. And of course, comfort creates inertia. So when you spend 15 or 20 years being rewarded for mastery, it becomes harder to recognize when the mastery stops being the thing that moves you forward. You keep optimizing for a game that quietly changed its rules. The third internal trap is fear disguised as logic. It sounds like this: I've invested too much in this path to change now, or I'm too senior to start over, or I'll become irrelevant if I step outside of what I know. But here's the truth. You don't become irrelevant by evolving. You become irrelevant by refusing to. The fear isn't about learning something new. You've done that your whole career. The fear is about losing the identity that your career has been built around. And that fear keeps people frozen in roles that are shrinking, in skill sets that are aging, and in systems that no longer reward those things. The fourth internal trap is believing that the organization will protect you. Now, in your 20s and 30s, it often did. High performers were retained, loyalty was recognized, experience was valued. But this isn't that market. Companies aren't making decisions based on loyalty anymore. They're making decisions based on leverage. And leverage now comes from agility, not tenure, from capability, not chronology. This doesn't mean companies don't value you. It means that the system no longer has the structures to support the kind of long-term stability it once offered. You're not failing, the model is. And that leads to the final internal trap, misreading motion as progress. Mid-career professionals often stay busy, extremely busy, thinking movement equals advancement. But movement inside a shrinking space isn't progress. You can be delivering flawlessly, meeting expectations, exceeding targets, and still be drifting towards irrelevance, because the expectations themselves are disappearing. You can be working harder than ever, but slowly losing ground because your role no longer expands the way it used to. This is the quiet, invisible pressure of mid-career in the AI age, being rewarded for the very things that hold you back. And breaking out of that requires a completely different strategy. Wave number 3, the escape, breaking out of the mid-career trap. Okay, the good news is this. The mid-career trap isn't a dead end. It's a forcing function, a moment where the rules shift and you get to shift with them. But escaping it requires breaking with the assumptions that held you in place. Not by abandoning your experience, but by repositioning it, by turning what you built into leverage that works in a world defined by speed, innovation, and adaptability. And here's what that looks like. Number 1, stop optimizing for reliability and start optimizing for adaptability. Reliability is table stakes now. AI and automation already outperform humans in anything predictable. Your edge is not in repeating what you've mastered. It's in learning faster than the environment changes. The people who stay relevant aren't the ones with the most knowledge. They're the ones who stay the most teachable. Your new value is your elasticity, not how tightly you hold on to your expertise, but how quickly you can stretch it into something new. Number 2, shift from being a role to becoming a function. Roles are fragile. Functions are transferable. Your job title can disappear. Your salary band can be restructured. Your department can be consolidated. But your function, your unique problem-solving ability, can move across industries, technologies, and markets. Stop anchoring to, well, I'm a director of X, and start anchoring to, I solve Y problems that create Z outcomes. That framing is what unlocks new opportunities when traditional structures collapse. Number 3, rebuild your identity around curiosity, not mastery. The future doesn't belong to people who know the most. It belongs to people who can learn the fastest. Curiosity is the antidote to stagnation. It widens your map. It expands your surface area. It turns reinvention from a threat into a competitive edge. So if you want to stay relevant, don't ask, how do I protect what I know? Rather, ask, what does this let me learn next? Number 4, turn your experience into leverage, not history. Experience used to be the proof of competence. Now it's a proof of context, and context is priceless if you know how to use it. AI can replicate patterns, but it can't replicate judgment built over decades of real-world consequences. Your value is not in the tasks you've done, it's the wisdom you've earned doing them. The question is no longer, what have you done? Rather, it's how can your experience accelerate what comes next? Your history becomes leverage the moment you turn it outward into strategy, guidance, decision-making, and insight. Number 5, build a presence outside of your job title. This is the part almost no mid-career professionals were taught. In 2025 and beyond, your career isn't defined by your employer. It's defined by your ecosystem, your insights, your network, your visibility, your digital footprint, your ability to create and share value beyond the walls of your company. And this doesn't mean becoming an influencer, by the way. It means becoming discoverable. Because the opportunities of the future won't come from who you report to. They'll come from who can find you. Even a simple habit, posting an idea a week on LinkedIn, sharing one observation, asking one thoughtful question creates a ripple effect of relevance. Low effort, high return, long-term leverage. Number 6, stop playing defense and start playing design. For most of your career, you've been rewarded for protecting your lane, staying within scope, guarding your expertise, minimizing risk. But the future belongs to designers, people who architect their own roles, shape their own career paths, and build opportunities instead of waiting for them. Design is the opposite of defense. Design is active, forward-facing, deliberate. It turns reinvention into a strategy, not a survival response. The fastest path out of mid-career traps is to stop asking, how do I stay useful? And start asking, what do I want to build next? Number 7, understanding the truth. You're not starting over, you're starting different. Most mid-career fear comes from one belief: I don't want to begin again. But you're not beginning again. You're beginning with decades of advantage that younger professionals don't have. The ability to synthesize complexity, the emotional intelligence to navigate people, the judgment to see consequences, the perspective to think long-term, the wisdom to avoid costly mistakes. AI accelerates skills, but it can't accelerate wisdom. That's your advantage, your differentiator, your moat. Reinvention isn't a reset, it's a multiplication. So if you feel the ground shifting under your feet, it's not because you're falling behind. It's because the world is rewarding a different kind of value than the one you were trained to deliver. You're not outdated, you're untranslated. And the moment you shift from defending your past to designing your future, the mid-career trap stops being a threat and becomes a catalyst. The next decade doesn't belong to the youngest or the cheapest or the most technical. It belongs to those who can take everything they've already lived, everything they've already learned, and turn it into something new. You don't need a second career. You need a second version of yourself, one built for a world that finally rewards the things a machine can never become. And if this gave you a new perspective, please hit that like button and share it with a friend who's feeling uncertain about the future of work. And of course, subscribe for more weekly videos on how to grow, evolve, and future-proof your career in the age of AI. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep showing the world that your best work is still ahead of you. And I'll see you in the next one.